don't stop. I have the confidence to rise to the top. We are standing bolder, shoulder to shoulder. Playtime is over. Playtime is over. All I need is inside of me. I am enough, and now I see. Yeah, I will reach my destiny. Yeah, I don't need your permission. Yes, I'm on a mission. I'll win. Oh, oh, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Now listen, I want y'all to repeat after me, okay? Because we're going to make some declarations in here today. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. I'm building my legacy for the whole world to see. You say, I'm building my legacy for the whole world to see. Say, I'm building my legacy for the whole world to see me. Say, oh, say I'm building my legacy for the whole world to see. You say, we are standing bolder, we're shoulder to shoulder. We are standing bolder, we're shoulder to shoulder. We are standing bolder, shoulder to shoulder. Playtime is over. Playtime is over. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We have powerful words, we have powerful minds. We use our voices and freedom takes flight. And we're ready to work, we're ready to win. We have a strategy and now we can begin. We are standing bolder, shoulder to shoulder. Playtime is over. Playtime is over. Now you are a champion. God is my witness. Imperfect perfection. Living my mission and winning. See, we are influencers. We have fear but don't stop. I have the confidence to rise to the top. We are standing bolder, shoulder to shoulder. Playtime is over. Playtime is over. All I need is inside of me. I am enough.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Impact the World Radio. My name is Cheryl Wood. I am your hostess for the mostest, and I have some amazing, phenomenal guests with me today in the studio. I can't wait to introduce you to them. But first, look, I got to do first things first and say, Happy Valentine's Day! Yay! So I put on a little red earrings. And as a matter of fact, I have to shout out a fellow business, and I really should hide my nails because I started, you know how you get this is a woman thing. You get your nails done, and then you like, all right, now you start kind of taking it. So anyway, let me hold my hands down. But I've got to shout out an amazing lady who usually joins us here on Facebook Live every week for the show, and her name is Kimberly McDonald Taylor, and hopefully she'll join us today. But she custom made this piece for me. You guys, she is phenomenal. The earrings and the necklace, and she does it out of clay. So she doesn't buy the little balls. She molds them hand by hand, one by hand, and creates this beautiful jewelry. Awesome. And this is one of the pieces that she's created for me. But some of you guys who were at PTIO conference, you were able to see that as well. And so I just love her. So I want to shout her out. You guys know I'm a huge proponent and supporter of women in business. We have got to support each other. If we don't do it, who's going to do it? So shout out to you, Kimberly McDonald Taylor. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you. And then, of course, I have got to shout out my amazing partners of this show, because without them, this would not be possible for us to be here every Wednesday from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. So I'm going to shout out Cherie M. Good. Thank you so much for being one of our platinum partners. Yeah, she's also a member of American Mothers, Inc., the Maryland chapter. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And she is hosting her 8th annual Recharge Health, Wellness, and Fitness Expo on Saturday, April 14th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Doubletree by Hilton in Pikesville, Maryland. If you're interested in that, if somebody would type this in the feed, that would be fantastic. And that's going to be rechargenow2018.eventbrite.com. Rechargenow2018.eventbrite.com. And then another one of our platinum partners is Ladream Peterson. She is a career strategist who helps to turn dreamers into doers. Don't you just love that? That always gives me goosebumps every time I say that. And her website is do-it-delivers.com. Do-it-deliver. She's almost like the Nike sign. Just do it. Do-it-delivers.com. Make sure that you show both of those ladies some love. And so this lady that I have next to me, well, first of all, before I do that, let me shout out my Facebook folks. Thank you so much, Yolanda Kopich, for being here. Ruth Lawson, thank you for being here. Crystal Cunningham, hey, sis, thank you for being here. Rhonda Johnson, is that Harold T. Fisher, WHUR? Thank you for being here. Jennifer Lucy Tyler, hey, sis, thank you for being here. Nika Corbett, Natalie Brown. You guys share this out, if you will, and encourage folks to join us during our conversation. We have 4 powerful women who are joining us in the studio today. We're going to be talking about everything from history and culture in the African American community to finances and helping women to build their personal finances. We're also going to be talking to an amazing woman in our second segment, Tiffany Gill of Black Girls Unscripted. Oh my gosh, she's phenomenal. And she's going to be talking about how we teach young girls and Black women to tell our stories. And then we're going to close out the show with none other than Myra Figueroa Clark, the love expert. So for all of you single ladies, make sure you shout out some single ladies. Make sure you send this out to them so that they can join us for the conversation. So let me tell you who I have here first sitting next to me. Her name is Sharon Parker, and she is a native of Calvert County, Maryland. And I never knew this, Sharon, but she's a mother of 4 daughters and 8 grandchildren. Girl, you look good. Thank you. Say hashtag goals, right? When I got 8 grandkids, this is how I want to look, just like this. You look amazing. I never knew this. It's amazing how you can know someone professionally, but miss so much of them personally if you don't just have some deeper conversation. So I'm glad to know that. So that makes me connect with you on a whole different level as a mom of young girls.
Thank you.
Well, now they're not young, right? They're older. But.
Exactly.
Okay, so she serves as, I mean, this woman is so multifaceted. It's like, when do you sleep? Really? When do you sleep? She's the president for the Maryland American Mothers, Inc. organization, which is a massive organization doing great things for moms. She's also the president for Remembering Our Ancestors Synergistic Association, which she calls ROSA, Inc., and the president for the Robert C. Weaver Blacks in Government, which is, you guys probably know as BIG, is it a DC chapter? Is it a Maryland chapter?
It's the DC chapter.
For the DC chapter. In addition to that, she is author of the book that's called True Synergy Works, Leading Within, 7 Defining Principles of Knowing Self to Birth Greatness. And she's a former commissioner of the Maryland Commission of African American History and Cultures. And she's also worked for over 30 years as a project manager for the development of housing and urban development. Woo! When do you sleep, Sharon? Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you.
So why don't we just start off and talk about some of the initiatives, because we mentioned quite a few initiatives, but talk about the ones that kind of are at the top of your plate right now and why you're so passionate about the vision that you've created for these different organizations and different groups that you're a part of.
Thank you. Excellent question. But before we talk about that, I want to just pause and just give thanks to God, because if it wasn't for Him, I would not be doing what I'm doing, and I would not have the energy or the love to really give back to the community unconditionally.
Yeah.
So I want to say, God, thank you for everything you've done for me, for everything you're doing for all the business people in the community, because our next generation really, really needs us.
Yes.
So that is my drive. That is my passion. Before I even go into any details, because titles are titles, but it doesn't mean anything unless you know what really work is all about. And I kind of took the traditional way. I went back and I connected with elderly people that really knew about how to get into the community, really knew how to make connection. I'm forced to do technology, so I've become a social media buff now. But believe me, that was not a preference. So I had to crawl before I can walk. Again, I'm a native of Calvary County, Maryland. I'm a country girl. I love it. I embrace it. Okay.
No apologies.
I grew up in a family where I was the middle child, 12 siblings, and the third one from the youngest. So it was hard for me to find my voice. So what I had to do was just, keep on praying that one day that voice would come. Well, let me just share a little story with you. Back in 1963, I was, of course, born, but in 1968, I was 5 years old, the same year that Martin Luther King was assassinated. I asked God, playing on the church ground, why? Why is it that people of color are not liked by others? Why? Went back to playing, never expecting to get an answer, never realized that God was charting my path. I'm telling you, I couldn't even write about it, but yes, I did. But you can't write about some of the things that, I'm about to share with you all today. So, make a long story short, 4 decades had passed. Good government job, home, cars, and everything, and I'm living my life and having a ball. 10 years ago, I said it's not enough for me. So I was blessed to have someone, her name is Sheba Akil, Sylvia Traymore Morrison, Tigre Air, come to my house in Clinton, Maryland, and say, hey, we have some products about our history. Can you help me do an event? And I'm like, no, but we can do an organization, because people get tired of just doing events.
Right.
People want to do an organization where they know that you're in it for the long haul.
That's true.
So
that's a great point.
I said, okay, well, let's, do the organization then. And they all were all in. And for some reason, because everybody's busy, unfortunately, Sheba Akil, when she passed away, and she was my rock as far as intellect in life. She knew about every facet of life. But she passed away, and I had to run the organization myself. Had no idea where I was going. So the organization, for those who don't know, is Remembering Our Ancestors Synergistic Association. Remembering Our Ancestors Synergistic Association. Everyone knows that remembering is key, but synergy is more important, because you have to be able to go out there and connect with people who may not like you, who may not know you, who may not care about what you're doing. But one of my job has been, Sharon, you have to show unconditional love no matter what level that you're talking to. I don't care if it's the young generation, if it's the professionals, the adults, or even the elders. You have to still stay in the game and keep on pushing forward to let people know that their history, American history, that includes the African American story, matters. Being authentic in learning about my history, God blessed me to learn about my own history. Did not realize when I was growing up that my grandparents were the first ones to have electricity on the road that we lived in Calvert County.
Wow.
The picture on this book where it shows my grandparents' house.
I'm going to hold this up to the folks. Hey guys, thank you for joining us for. Okay, and you go ahead.
And that picture on that book is actually my grandparents' home. Did not realize growing up when I was being a little bad person in school that my grandparents were entrepreneurs. Had not a clue. So I grew up being bad and just trying to live my life. And then God said, no, I've been charting you to get that strength, to find that voice so that you can do what you're doing. I got to tell you, time does not lie. For those who've been following me on social media, I have been pitching the power of 5. And 5 means grace. Now, I know I was bad growing up. And to be able to be in front of the audience today and talk about what I've been doing over the last 10 years, connecting with people like American Mothers, Inc., who, I went in there with Rosa. This is a predominantly white organization.
Yeah.
And I went in there and said, look, I want you to recognize Rosa on your platform. They say, well, tell me what you've been doing. Right. So I mentioned my RISE program, the Rosa Youth Empowerment Series program. And I said that my job is to make sure that every professional in every African-American industry, or any industry period, will be able to connect to the next generation, to empower them not just to follow in the footsteps of leaders of the past, but also to follow in the footsteps of people today. And I knew it was going to be a rough job. My personality, I'm an introvert. Most people they can't figure me out because they don't know what I'm thinking, because when they see me in public, I'm always quiet. Right. And that's intentional, because I'm always observing and I'm listening, but I'm also working behind the scenes, and I'm working for the benefit of the next generation. So that's my passion. That's what I do. And honestly, God has just blessed me to be held. We just held our 5th annual, what used to be called an unconditional love retreat. We held it at the LaFont Plaza Hotel back in 2013, and that's 5 years. Okay. Again, I was 5 years old in 1968 when I asked God that question. This year is the 10th year of Rosa being in existence. So 5 and 5 is 10. So I've been just adding up these dates, and I'm like, God, was it by accident that it just happened to be that Rosa is celebrating our 10th anniversary during the same year of the bicentennial of Frederick Douglass, celebration? Could it be a coincidence? I don't know. I just don't believe in coincidence.
I'm going to stop you right there, because you said so many pivotal things in your conversation, and I love it. Number one, I love that you have the heart. I truly believe that everybody has their own unique calling. Yes. And I think that you can try to run from it, but it's going to catch you. Yes. It's going to find you at some point. Absolutely. And you have to be willing at some point to surrender to your calling. It'll keep tapping you on the shoulder. It'll keep finding you some kind of way, and you might shut it down and try to avoid it. But it's coming back to tap you like, okay, I'm still here. I'm still waiting. And so I love that you have the spirit and the calling for serving the community. It is, I believe, a calling. It is something that has been called on your life, because everybody can't do all work. Right. It's not my work. My work is a community work, but it's a different type of community work. Yes. There are people who, I was just talking with someone the other day, another fellow business owner, and I was saying how much I admire people who do things like take in foster children, and who are really good foster parents, not the cray-cray ones, but the really good. Like, that's a specific calling on your life. People who specifically serve the elderly community. Yes. That's a specific calling. So I think, number one, I want to give you kudos that you have this calling on your life, and you allowed yourself to kind of organically be led into the calling and got to a point where you surrendered. And so then you talked about another important thing, which is being an introvert, but stretching yourself anyway. Yes. And anybody who's going to truly impact the world, meaning you're going to you leave your unique fingerprint on the world in some way, you have got to be willing to press through your own personal challenges. So how many of you guys are truly introverts? In fact, now you hear people say, I'm an introverted extrovert. So technically they're introverts, but they push themselves to be extroverts because they understand the power of what they've been called to do in the world and in the community. And so that's another great point. So for those of you who are listening, and those of you who are with us on Facebook Live, what are you willing to push through in order to truly impact the world and leave your unique fingerprint? Because that's going to be your legacy. Rosa is a part of your legacy. Yes. The fact that you're helping to bring history and culture to especially the young community. Come on now. Our kids, but we talk about my kids. My kids are 10, 11, and 14. And I remind them, look, it's a blessing for you to be able to pick up a book and read. That's right. People died for you to be able to have the right to read, the right to vote. That's right. I'm always preaching that kind of stuff. Awesome. So again, I value what you're doing in the community, and the points that you are just the nuggets you're dropping throughout the story is just so important. So let's talk about your passion for helping more professionals to really connect with the next generation. Why does that mean so much to you? We know that you're a mom of 4 and a grandmom of 8. I just still can't believe that. I'm in denial about that. But why is that part so important to you, and how do you help to manifest that in the community? Excellent question. I got to tell you, when I was growing up, my life wasn't easy. My mom, even though with our rich history, she was an alcoholic. So she wasn't home
raising us, so we had to raise ourselves. And there were, again, 12 of us. A couple of the oldest passed away, the youngest passed away, and one of my older sisters just passed a few years ago. And it's 9 of us now. But we literally had to raise ourselves. And my mom used to always tell me, you know, Sharon, you're smart. And I'm like, whatever, you know. But she always instilled I was smart, and I didn't believe it. So I kind of played around, you know, when I was in school. And then when I finally decided I needed a job to take care of my children, I got a government job at HUD. And I started taking classes, and I started meeting people, and I started taking entrepreneurship classes and project management classes. And I'm like, whoa, okay, I am a little smart. Because I was getting A's in this, and I know I hadn't been taught about that in school.
Right.
So I'm like, how am I doing this? So my goal was, once I got into project management, I realized that project management teaches you how to communicate effectively with both sides, introverts and extroverts. Being an introvert, extroverted people are a little too much for introverted-minded people, because extroverts are wonderful, exciting, and always want to be, you know, heard and performing, and they're always there. And we're like, okay, we're trying to think.
I'm raising my hand. That's me.
We're trying to process some information, slow it down a little bit for us. So we're, you know, introverts are processing.
Right. Processing. That's a strong word. I got to chime in for 1 second, because I had to learn that. Because when you have a certain energy, like I'm pumped, I'm always pumped. I'm fired up. My husband, like, you just, whoo. I was on the news the other day, right? I was on Good Morning Washington, and this is the first time I was on there with a panel, and it was myself and 2 other moms. And my husband, when I walked in, he was like, you just had to make sure you just took over. I was like, I was not trying to take over. I can't help that I love what I do, and this is my gift,
but
right?
That's your gift.
But I had to learn in my business through coaching that I also had to respect other people who were introverted and needed more time to process. Because I used to have a challenge with that. I would, you know, say some good stuff, and I'd be like, y'all, what's up? What's up? Like, what, y'all ain't saying nothing? Y'all, this not hitting y'all? And they're like, no, we just processing it.
Right.
And it took me so long to really get that, because I hear it, bam, I'm in action.
Okay.
But for other people, like you said, introverts. So I just thought that was so important.
Thank you.
Of how you have shown growth also,
Yes.
knowing and seeing the differences and being willing to kind of inject yourself into the introverted world,
Exactly.
and as well as knowing that, okay, even I really play in this lane, but I know I have to be able to communicate effectively with both. So continue.
Right. So to actually answer your question about how am I relating the professionalism to the next generation. Once I got familiar with how the mind was working, the introvert and the extroverts, I decided to think of life as a project. How do you effectively start a project where you can encourage today's professional who are going through some challenging times? Keep in mind, working at HUD, I know what happened in 2008 during the housing crisis. I know a lot of people lost their homes and lost their business and lost a lot of credit because of the industry. So my job was to say, how can I get back in the community, or how can I get in the community, let them know that I really care and I really am on a mission. That first annual Unconditional Love Retreat that was held at the LaFont Plaza Hotel, I brought in women from all industries. I'm talking doctors, pastors, you know, entrepreneurs. I connected them to the traditional, the baby boomers, and the millennials. And I had them all in the room, and I said, tell me about your struggles, but tell me how you overcame it to be in a position where you're now a successful business person. And they just loved it. So for my 10th anniversary, which again is going to be happening on March the 4th, I am showcasing those individuals again. And I'm showcasing them as a VIP Black History Month. Every year I come out of my pocket to host these annual events. Again, this is our 6th year doing it. I've done workshops in schools where I've gone to, you know, job fairs, I've gone to career fairs, and I've met people and I connected them to other schools. I was just at a school on yesterday at the Great Mills High School, and that's all over in St. Mary's County. It's like an hour and 15-minute drive. Believe me, those babies were impressed. They never knew a lot about their history, and they were so grateful that someone cared enough to come in. So my job was to let them know who I have been collaborating with. Dr. Ife Williams, Dr. Barbara Reynolds, again, Sylvia Traymore Morrison, Charles Carey, Emma Ward, you know, my team, Tanique Parker, Wakila Cannon, what's her name, Abba Washington. I bring a lot of people together, and I have them see what I'm doing and then follow in my footsteps. And most importantly, because they have their own profession, come out and showcase to our generation what you're doing. I'm telling you, one girl yesterday had me in tears. She said, Miss Parker, she said, I really want to write a book because I want to write a book on depression because I'm depressed. And I know a lot of young people today that's actually depressed today.
Absolutely.
So
it's an epidemic.
Exactly. So I gave her a copy of my book, and I just said, you know what, use it as a guide. Help you form your thoughts. But I know it's like two different topics. This is a memoir about my journey, but at least you can kind of see how I'm expressing myself. And this book is filled with African American significance, quotes from African American leaders, history about Calvert County, about my family. It's rich in history.
And I love that. I love that. Number one, I'm a huge proponent of telling our stories.
Yes.
Like that is the most important thing you can ever do. And I think that you should tell it. Each of us individually should tell our story before anybody else has to tell your story.
Absolutely.
I share frequently the story about my dad, and my dad passed away. He was only 59 years old. He passed away of a massive heart attack in his sleep in 2009 on Thanksgiving Day.
Wow.
And he never told his story.
Wow.
And my dad, talk about connection.
Yes.
My dad was an alcoholic.
Oh, wow.
He suffered from alcoholism, and it was havoc in our lives. There were times where we would have to, my mother would wake us up in the middle of the night and literally just tell us with the clothes on our back, get up, we gotta go, so we can escape his violence,
I
right?
understand.
Wait till he falls asleep, and then in the middle of the night, we go into the House of Ruth to stay,
Wow.
which is a protective agency for battered women and their children. So that's what I went through as a young child. Well, once he passed away, so long I didn't understand my father. Like I just didn't get why he couldn't be a present father, why he couldn't be an engaged father, and why he would choose drinking. And what I came to find was after he passed away, then people wanted to start telling his story. And the reality is, had we known the story and some of the stuff he went through, that could have shifted our relationship and the synergy that we had between each other. And so I'm just a huge proponent of telling your own story.
Yes.
I don't want nobody else trying to tell my story because I know my story better than anybody else. So I love that you are sharing your story and sharing your truth and then connecting it with the next generation.
Yes.
Because, I mean, hearing that young lady talk about young people and what they're suffering with now,
Exactly.
and social media is a big part of that depression
Absolutely.
thing because people are bullying them,
Yes.
cyberbullying. And they're going through things now that, we may have thought we had it tough.
Right.
But it's a different world.
Right.
It's a different kind of world than when we were growing up, right?
Exactly.
And I think it's like, I was born in 73, so still we ain't that far apart.
That's okay. Fair enough.
We ain't that far apart.
You're not a baby boomer though, right?
No. But we grew up in a very, very different world. And a lot of young people are suffering with
Oh my God,
depression.
yes.
So for you to even have this resource
Yes.
as a source of empowerment, enlightenment, inspiration,
Thank you.
even that young person being able to come to you and have a conversation with you
Yes.
and feeling comfortable enough, that speaks volumes to your work
Thank you.
and what the impact that you're having in the community.
I appreciate
So let's
that.
talk about let's talk about two things. Let's talk about the bicentennial of Frederick Douglass.
Yes.
I know you are so excited about that.
Exactly.
I was like, I ain't never been that excited about nothing history, but I'm glad you are,
I
because
am.
that's why everybody has a lane, right? Everybody has something.
Let me just tell you, Cheryl, African American history is where the money is. I'm gonna tell you what I know.
All right, tell me what you know.
That's where the money is. Okay, I used to be a commissioner of the Maryland Commission on African American History and Culture, and every year there's a $100,000 grant given away to 10 people in Maryland, and they've been doing it for the last 6-7 years, that can tell the history of the African American experience in Maryland.
Wow.
Okay, and unfortunately, we're not getting those grants because we don't know
Well,
about
no.
it, and because we're not getting the grants, others organizations and churches and museums are getting it. But my question and my concern is, okay, if you're getting it, why don't the community know? Because it's been
Right.
happening now for over 5 to 6 years. So I'm talking $100,000 every year to tell the story about African American significance in Maryland.
Wow.
Being a Marylander, you as well,
Yes.
Frederick Douglass bicentennial is this year. Okay, in the National Museum on African American History and Culture, we're going to be doing unlimited events.
Yeah.
The Maryland Commission on African American History and Culture, there's a museum in Annapolis called the Banneker Douglass Museum, where I will be presenting my book there on March 31st. But they have free events all the time about history, and they are the actual partners of the Maryland Commission on African American History and Culture, which is actually appointed by the governor of Maryland.
Wow.
So it's huge, and I'm telling you, the money is there. I'm a little concerned that if we don't take advantage of those opportunities, then our stories are going to be rewritten.
Yeah.
And that's even more reason why, if you have a family, and a large family such as mine, I want them to know their history, because we have rich history in Calvert County.
Absolutely. And as a people, I think we do have to take more pride in our culture and our history, you know, and the only way we can do that is to become educated.
Exactly.
And so I love that you are spearheading that movement. It really is a movement that you're spearheading. And so how can people get in touch with you so that they can learn more about Rosa and all the amazing initiatives that you're a part of, and just you're just such a great point of contact for things that are going on in the DMV region, for those who want to become more educated and who want to become actively involved in initiatives like the professionals helping the next generation. So how can they reach out to you? How can they get the book? Just give them all that good, juicy stuff.
Awesome. Okay, there's a couple of, if you want to ever get in contact with me on social media, Sharon Parker on Facebook, that is my channel for communicating. I don't do too much Instagram. I don't do too much Twitter. But Facebook is how you contact me. Sharon Parker, look me up. Also, you can go to my website at www.rosalives.org. That's ROASALIVES.org. You can send me an email at sharon@rosalives.org, or you can either contact me directly. My number's all over the place, so it's 202-365-8277. I've been affiliated with the National Congress of Black Women. I've been affiliated with the D.C. Boxing and Wrestling Commission, who recognize elders in the community. I'm telling you, the Blacks in Government chapter, Francis L. Cardozia's STEM chapter, the Million Women Moms organization, who's doing mentoring in STEM, and also, you know, the Dream Queen Association. I just connected with them, but they're doing a phenomenal job in connecting professionals with the young generation, and that's where I was yesterday at the Great Mills High School. So, guys, I do know a lot of people.
You are definitely a host. I mean, like, seriously, this is a host of resources right here. We're gonna have some separate sidebar conversations, because it is important even for me, for my young children. And look, the reality is they don't teach but so much in school.
Exactly.
And so we have to take it upon ourselves as a people, and as, for me, parents, to make sure that our kids are educated in our own rich history and rich culture. It is up to us. We cannot leave it to the school system to teach our children the things that they need to know. And you are just a bucket, like seriously, a bucket of resources.
Thank you.
So guys, make sure that you connect with her. I want to shout out the folks who are here with us on Facebook Live. James Carroll is watching. Thanks for being here. Hi, Tiara. How are you? Tiara Destiny. Cindy Janison Iborn, thank you for being here. Keena Tiani is here. Martina Coates-Nance, thank you, says, good afternoon, ladies. Great message about community. Thank you. Kim Brewington Gore, she's here with us every week. Thanks for being here. Nima Tillery Moore, thank you for being here. Malcolm Reed, Kern Cherry, Ladrine Peterson, Audra Beard, Sharita Russell Deloach. Hi, Karanda, how are you? Cynthia Green, Andrea Williams, Charlena Prince. Thank you guys so much for being here. Hopefully that you are sharing this out so that we can get more people connected to this amazing organization, Rosa Inc. And again, the website?
www.rosalives.org.
And that's ROASA. Is that right?
That's right.
ROASA. Okay. Lives. RosaLives.org.
Exactly.
Before we go, we're going to go to a commercial break. But before we do that, tell them again about the two events. You have a March 4th event, and then there's another special event through American Mothers.
Okay. March 4th is going to be the 10th anniversary of Rosa, so we have a limited number of spaces. I have an Eventbrite. Inbox me on Facebook if you want to attend. Once the tickets are gone, they're gone. I'm honored to also share that I am volunteering and the president for the Maryland chapter of American Mothers, Inc., but they have a national organization that has the voice of over 85 million moms and families all over the country. And they're having their conference here in Washington, D.C. on April 22nd to the 24th. And yes, Cheryl and I and a lot of our members are going to be volunteering that day. So come on down to the Mayflower Hotel on April 22nd to the 24th.
Fantastic. And we have to acknowledge that we both are previous American Mothers of Achievement.
Exactly.
Hey, I'm just saying. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. You are just, again, a wealth of resources and empowerment and inspiration. And I think anyone who's watching the show today and watching us on Facebook Live will be moved to get more involved in community service. I love people who just commit their lives to community service. It is a special calling on your life. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
And I will do everything in my power to shout it out through this platform and other platforms and to support in any way possible.
Awesome.
So thank you. Yes. Don't mess up my makeup. I'm just no, thankfully I beat my own face today, so it's okay. All right. Thank you so much, guys. We're going to take a quick break, about a 2-minute break, and then we're going to be right back with our next guest, Miss Pamela Sams, who's going to talk to us all about how do you get your personal finances and your wealth in line with where you want to go as women. We'll be right back. Really?
Girl, I just went to a major dealership and got ripped off on a luxury car. Ugh.
Well, I just got a great deal on a luxury car at Star Imports in Camp Springs, Maryland. They took their time with me, treated me with respect, and helped me find a perfect car.
Hey, DMV, looking for a unique car buying experience? Tired of high-pressure sales? Good news. At Star Imports, you'll be delighted with our boutique-style car buying experience. We're committed to treating you with the utmost respect, even if you have less than perfect credit. Check out our impressive selection of pre-owned BMWs, Mercedes-Benz, Lexus, Jaguars, and other imports starting at $5,988. For fast online guaranteed credit approvals, go to starimports.com. That's STARRIMPORTS.com. Or call 301-423-8000. Star Imports, home of the boutique-style car buying experience. Located in Camp Springs, Maryland, off exit 7B off the Beltway, next to Red Lobster.
Living my mission and winning. See, we are influencers. We have fear but don't stop. I have the confidence to rise to the top. We are standing bolder, shoulder to shoulder. Playtime is over. Playtime is over. Inside of me, I am enough, and now I see, yeah, I will reach my destiny, yeah. I don't need your permission, yes, I'm on a mission, I'll win, oh, oh, oh yeah, oh, yeah. Now listen, I want y'all to repeat after me, okay? Cause we're gonna make some declarations in here today. Here we go, 1, 2, 3. I'm building my legacy for the whole world to see. You say, I'm building my legacy for the whole world to see. Say, I'm building my legacy for the whole world to see me. Say, I'm building my legacy for the whole world to see.
Awesome. All right, we're back. So again, we had the amazing Sharon Parker with us. Just phenomenal woman doing so many great things in the community. I love people who are community advocates. And so we're going to keep things moving. I want all of my ladies who are ready for this big word, wealth, 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 like it's just ringing in the building. Wealth. If you are ready for wealth, you need to be tuned in. For those of you guys who know individuals, women who are ready for wealth, I want you to share this Facebook Live out, because we're going to have some juicy stuff that we're going to be sharing with you with our next guest, who is a guru. So her name is Pamela Sams, and for 16 years, she's been serving women and partnering with women to improve their personal and financial wealth through solid financial life planning. Somebody saying, I'm ready. Beautiful. Known to all as the financial navigator, Pamela helps women navigate the rough waters toward financial independence so they can be, do, and have their heart's desire. I like the sound of that, Pam. Pamela is a strong voice in the area of personal finance for women. Her knowledge in this area has made her a sought-after speaker, and she's been quoted in numerous leading financial publications. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me,
It
Cheryl.
is so great to have you here.
Oh, awesome.
So tell us, how did you get started in this whole space of financial planning and helping other women?
Well, I mean, it's been a long road. It actually started back in 2001. Unfortunately, my father had passed away. He had been sick for a while, so we knew it was coming. My family, or at least my mother and my father, grew up in what we call the Hope generation. So older, pre-war, pre-World War I. So a lot of frugality there, but also a lot of the women handled the wealth in the household and didn't really know how to deal with finances. So after my father had passed away in 2001, my mother had really a hard time trying to figure out the finances on her own in her own household. So my siblings and I really had to kind of rally together and really figure out the best way to help her. Through that process, I really learned a lot about financial planning and decided to get licensed, because I really didn't want anyone to go through that ever again and not know how to handle their own finances in their household.
I love that.
So that's how I became a licensed financial advisor back in 2001.
I always think that those are, kind of the best experts, are people who have actually experienced the thing that they're saying they can help you with. I think if you have not experienced it in some way, if you have not struggled through what your clients or your prospects are currently struggling through, I think it makes it very challenging to be successful in helping people to achieve results, which is why one of the reasons, I just got to say, why, our number 45 is having such a challenging time, because he doesn't understand the struggle of the people, because he's never really experienced the struggle of the people. So that's why I always like to get people's background and why did you decide to do this and what makes it personal to you. So then let's talk about some of the, why don't we start with some of the biggest mistakes that women make as it relates to becoming wealthy?
Well, what I find is a lot of times women, actually people in general, don't start with having a budget. It really starts with how money comes into your household and money goes out of your household. And not knowing what's coming in and what's going out really affects people on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
And it's from early when you first get started with money management all the way to when you retire. A lot of the conversations that I have with my clients that are looking to retire within the next 5 to 10 years, that's where I start, is with a budget, because a lot of them just say, I really don't know what's happening.
Right.
So what I do is really go through, or at least tell them, the exercise I go through with my clients is kind of the wants and the needs when you're developing your budget. So the wants is everything that you want in the world. I want this, I want that. And the necessities are your fixed expenses. You got to pay your mortgage, you got to pay your car note, you got to pay all of those particular things. And then really just kind of figure out on that wants list some things that you can sacrifice, some things that you may take off of your list to free up some cash flow, and then maybe a little bit later down the road say, okay, I think I want that later, but am I willing to sacrifice and free up some cash flow for my retirement, or to save for education for my kids, or whatever the case may be that they're saving for. So really getting an understanding and a handle on what's going on in your household financially has been a challenge for most people, not just women, but most people really don't understand all of that dynamics.
I'm nodding my head and saying yes in agreement, because I agree. And I think one of the challenges is that let's say you're working a job, or even if you're growing a business and you have that money coming in, you're just dependent on the money always coming in.
Correct. Yeah.
And I think a lot of times people don't think about a rainy day because they assume the rainy day is never going to happen to them.
Exactly.
But it can, and it does to a lot of people, and it catches people off guard because they have not prepared. So talk to those people who have a great job and they're making great money and it's just flowing in, and they can really, they can get whatever they want whenever they want. Talk about why there's still a need to budget even when you feel like you have an excess in your household income.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a challenge. I mean, I have clients making $10,000 a year or $1 million a year. It's still the same challenges. We tend to, once we have the money flowing, think we have more, and so we go buy more stuff. That's why a lot of times when people start making more money or get a raise, I try to tell them how to capture that.
Yeah.
Because once you get that, you end up elevating your lifestyle, so to speak.
Yes.
Whenever you get it. So if you can capture that when it happens, then you know how to deal with it instead of upgrading your lifestyle.
Yes.
That's what
I love
happens.
that you said that, because I share this story that I heard Magic Johnson speak. This was a couple of years ago in Atlanta, Georgia. I went to a conference there, and that's one of the things he said. And this is a man who, he got plenty of money, right? But he has built all these businesses, and he says, stop creating a lifestyle change so quickly because you got a raise, or you got a 3% raise or a 2% raise, or because your business did good this year or this month. He's like, you know what? Develop several successful enterprises or businesses before you shift and create a lifestyle change. So you're right.
Exactly.
People get a little bit more, then they live up to that little bit more.
Yes.
And that becomes a challenge, especially when unexpected occurrences happen.
Correct.
So I think that's phenomenal. So first of all, having the budget so that you know what's going in and what's going out, identifying wants versus needs, and then kind of creating let's say a plan of action.
Correct.
when you do find yourself that you have more income coming in, not just feeling like you have to just spend just because it's coming in. Because one of the things I find, and especially with like millennials and people who are in the younger generations, is that and I guess we all were that way when we were young. Like, we didn't really feel the need to plan for the future and retirement. Like, I'll get to that. But talk about why it's so important to start young.
I know. That's the thing. I mean, you see a lot of kids out of college, even, high schoolers, they go, 30, 40 years, that's down the road. Why do I really need to save for retirement? That's going to be, forever from now. But it's really if you've heard the phrase compound interest, it's really the more time you have in terms of your time horizon to your particular goal, the better you are in advantage. So if you start 30 years prior versus 30 years later, you have missed out on compounding your money from investing it during that time period. So really getting children to understand, even if I put $1 or I put $5 away now, what that $5 or $1 a day could be 20, 25 years from now.
Yeah.
It's really getting them to understand the compounding of interest on your money. The earlier you start, the better. And that's when millennials, when they get started with their first job, I say, go all in with your 401k.
Right.
I mean, you don't have, that's free money that you can get with the match from your employer,
especially
and
if
the
your
money
employer
that
matches.
yes, exactly. And then you put money in,
Yeah.
and then you look at that bucket of money 20, 30 years from now, then you're on your way to having one of those $1 million 401ks that people are talking about.
Yes, and believe me, we all want to stay young and fine and fly, but
Exactly.
hunty, you are going to get older, and you do not want to be the person who has to. And no offense to this, but I'm just using this as an example. The person who has to go, and you're 60 or 70, 65, 70, and you got to go, work at Walmart and hand out smiley faces because you don't have enough money. Like, seriously. And I'm not making a judgment on anybody, because most of us were not taught that. Most of us, many of us, I don't say most, but many of us, like, I came from an environment of surviving. It wasn't nothing about thriving in Lafayette Projects in Baltimore, Maryland. My mom didn't know what thriving meant. She knew how to survive, how to take the little she had and make it stretch. And so, again, when you talk about mindset and money conversation, that was my money conversation. And for a long time, it was like I was addicted to financial struggle. like addicted to it because I saw my mom with so much pride, like, yeah, I took this little bit of money and I stretched it. And so when I grew up and I could stretch that money, right, I felt the same way. But then I'm sitting there waiting for my next paycheck. And it's like living paycheck to paycheck. And that's not how I had to make a decision that I wanted to shift my money conversation, my money mindset, and what I was going to teach my children, the next generation coming up. And the only way that you can break those cycles and those generational curses, if you will, is if you make a decision to do something different. Tony Robbins, who's an amazing motivational guru, has this quote that I use all the time. And he says, a real decision is measured by the fact that you have taken a new action. And if you have not taken a new action, you have not truly decided. So what have you decided? How are you going to shift the trajectory of your future and your children's future with your own money conversation and your own money mindset? So one of the things that you talked about, which I love, is that, people never really think, especially in the younger generation, never think down the road, because we're in a society where, people don't believe in delayed gratification. They're like, I want it now, I want it now, now. And you have to have a certain level of delayed gratification in order to really get to the place where you said, you have that $1 million 401k when you're in your more mature years, right?
Exactly. And I think that's the challenge with a lot of people in our society is an instant gratification society. We want it now, we want to do this, we want to do that. And that's why there's a lot of people with credit card debt with stuff that they have bought because they needed it now,
right?
Versus having a plan.
And then it's outdated by next year. They're like, oh, girl, that was last year's edition. What? Girl, I need me a bag I can carry all the time. Come on now. You spent $600, $700 for a bag, but you got $7 in the bag. Come.
Yeah, you're always supposed to have at least the amount of money in there that you pay for the bag. I mean, that's how it is. But I always tell children, and millennials probably in college, I was like, if you want to be paying for that pizza party 10, 15 years from now, you don't do it that way. Right. Find a way to have a emergency stash or cash reserve to put away for those expenses versus kind of whipping out the credit card. Now that's what runs into a lot of people's problem is having what I call the bad debt. I mean, there's good debt and there's bad debt. The bad debt is that credit card. The good debt would be, your education loans and things like that, because you're going to get some type of rate of return off of that.
I love that.
Eventually. Yeah. But credit cards, I mean, what are you going to really get? I mean, besides the immediate thing that you're going to be buying there.
You're going to pay 5, 6, 7 times
Exactly.
more.
Yeah.
So then, talk about, when we talk about preparing and for, having an emergency stash or whatever, I've heard a lot of people say financial. I don't know why people are calling me in the middle of my broadcast. I guess they don't know I'm on the air from 12 to 2 every Wednesday.
Yeah, from 12 to 2, exactly. Let them know.
But I've heard financial advisors say that you should have a minimum of 6 months of your, lifestyle expenses in the bank. What is your take on that? What is your view about that?
That's a rule of thumb, is about 3 to 6 months worth of cash reserve for your lifestyle. So if you're spending $5,000 a month, for example, to run your household, you should at least have 30, just in case, you lose your job or you run into rough roads or something may happen, that you're not dependent on, let's say, the line of credit in your house or your credit cards and things like that. So if you have a little bit of a cushion, less than, I think 70% of Americans have less than $1,000 in their savings account. They're just
right there.
They're just one paycheck away from catastrophic collapse financially. So they really need to, devise a strategy. I mean, you don't have to start, big or huge, but just really have some side account where you can tap into for those emergency expenses.
Absolutely. And I know that may sound easier than it's done. I'm going to share something. I take my daughter to school. I take all of my kids to school every day. But there is this one particular area, and, honestly, my daughter's school is not in the best area, right? But it's a great school. It's a French immersion school. And she's been there since she's been in kindergarten. This is her last year there. She's in 8th grade now, so she'll be graduating and going to high school. And what hurts me to my heart is over the past probably couple months, as I'm driving up, you got to go through this neighborhood before you get to the school. And clearly, like, the revenue service or whatever has been active in terms of booting people's cars. And so you go
yeah.
up this street through this neighborhood and you see boot after boot after boot. Now, it's one thing to have tickets and you get a boot. Okay, maybe you forgot, maybe you got busy. I get that. But to see the boot on the car 2 months later and to know in your heart that clearly the family
person
cannot
doesn't have it,
afford
yeah.
to pay to have the boot removed, and that's their transportation. Like when I tell you, it just melts and breaks my heart every time I see it. So talk to the people who maybe they are living paycheck to paycheck, but then they talking about, oh, well, you telling me I need to be saving? I can't even hardly make it from paycheck to the next paycheck. How do we really get out of, for those people who are in a space of kind of financial turmoil, how do we even get started? How do they get started moving out of that space of desperation and out of that space of, I don't even know what to do other than what I'm currently doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely causes strain on your household, really, just trying to figure out how am I going to survive day to day. But a lot of what I see is, really understanding what your paycheck looks like. I mean, there's ways to really look at, are you taking the right exemptions on your paycheck?
That's good.
Maybe you could bring home more in your paycheck by just really looking at how much you're paying in exemptions. A lot of people, when you first start your job, you fill out these W-4s or all these different forms, but your circumstances change. And then you're still living with those same exemptions. So looking at that, you may be able to free up a little bit of cash flow. But then also going back to what I was explaining with the expenses that you're paying on in your household. Some of those things like your cable bill and your Netflix and all of these things is that people feel that they are those needs, or and when in essence they're really wants. Because you're living that lifestyle that you want. Do you want to make the sacrifices to eliminate some of those things that are wants on that category and move them over? I mean, what you consider the needs, to move it over to want and free up cash flow that way.
Yeah, I think that's so powerful.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I don't want to cut you off.
No. And a lot of times also it's really looking at meticulously going through your expenses. And where I find the culprit is a lot of times is eating out. People go out
that was me.
all the time. You're going out 2 or 3 times a day. You're going to Starbucks, several times a week. Those are some of those coins that you can really capture on a weekly basis that will make a difference. I mean, even if you save $50, $100, you have something that you're doing. So that's where I see is really meticulously going through your expenses and seeing where you can actually make some cuts.
Yeah, and that goes back to what you said earlier, which is, having a budget, creating a budget, and knowing exactly what's coming in and what's going out.
Yes.
And you got to include those seemingly little pieces. Oh, I only spent $4 on a mocha that was me. I'm just speaking personally.
Okay.
I only spent $4 on a mocha at Starbucks. But if you did that every day times 5, that's $20, okay? That could have been in savings. Don't underestimate the power of saving even with small amounts. It could be, I don't care if it's $5, $10. Over time, that adds up versus doing nothing. So I love that suggestion of meticulously going through your expenditures in your home. What are you spending? I was famous for going out and eating. Thank God I'm on a diet now and I can't go nowhere. I can't eat jack. I can't eat nothing but some salmon at home and some cabbage. I can't eat nothing. And my kid said to me the other day, Mommy, we haven't been out in a long time. That's right. Get used to it. And now I'm becoming more aware of just how much I was spending. It's really bad. It's really bad. And I got a family of 5. Myself and my kids, we go out. My husband works at night, so he typically is asleep when we out hanging out at the restaurant. But we bring him something home. So you talking, you add that up. You know how much it is to eat out at a meal for a family of 5.
Exactly.
And you do that 3 times a week. Come on now, your bank account what? So that is just such a great first step of something that you can do, because maybe you're not going to have more revenue coming in at the moment, but what can you take out of the category of a need and put it in the category of a want and eliminate? Do you have to have cable? Y'all know how much cable is? And you know cable gets you on that bundling thing.
Yeah,
So you got
exactly.
the bundle, sir. All you really needed was the cable, but they convinced you needed
But
the
they
bundle,
convinced you
which is the
everything's
phone,
bundled,
the
yeah.
internet, whatever else you get with it. You paying $200-something a month on a cable bill. That could be money kept inside the home or put away for savings. So
Exactly. And to another point with that, Cheryl, is that cell phones are notorious for that.
You all up in my business today, family. You all up in my business.
And it's cell phones. And I always tell people, reevaluate your carrier. I mean, there's so many data wars and all of these things with Sprint and Verizon and stuff going back and forth that you can save on that. You don't have to stick with the same carrier. So really figure it out. And then if you end up spending, $150, $200 on these cell phone carriers, there's ways to do that as well. Or, it really also comes back down to sacrifice. Maybe you don't need that big, cell phone bill. Maybe you can get a prepaid for about 5 or 6 months.
Yes.
And say, am I willing to, save that $200 that I was spending on my cell phone bill and buy a prepaid for a certain amount of time and put that away.
Yeah.
So it really just comes to what your lifestyle looks like and where you can really free up some cash flow.
Let me tell you, I went on, so I'm a T-Mobile customer, and I went on their site the other day because I was like, my phone has been acting real fluky. So I'm like, I need an upgrade. And then maybe we can, now the good thing about in my household is that, unfortunately, all of my kids do have phones, but what we do is we pass the phones down. So when mommy gets a new phone, this phone goes to my daughter, the next phone goes to the son, and literally we try to keep it like that. But I went online. Do you know how much the darn new iPhone 10 is? It's $1,000. It's $1,000. Y'all see me looking around, and it's $1,000. I was like, what the do? Like, I really wanted to say some choice words. I could not believe it. And I was like, okay, do I really need to upgrade that bad to pay $1,000? And I'm not judging anybody who chooses that's what maybe, I don't know, they consider that a need or whatever. They got to stay current with technology and all that kind of stuff. And I want it. I'm not going to lie. I want it. But I'm just like, that's a lot of money to drop on a phone.
Yeah,
do I have to have it? Can I hold off on that a little while? Because the price is going to come down over time.
Exactly.
So maybe I don't need it when it first comes out and spend that $1,000. Maybe I wait till it come on down about $500 and maybe at least get it half the price. And even that's a lot for a phone. Like, can we just get some pay phones again and pay a quarter? Like, y'all remember payphones? My kids have no clue what a payphone is.
I know, they have no idea what that is.
Phones used to be just on the street? Yeah, like,
I know.
Mommy, what?
Like, what is that even? Exactly.
Well, wow. I mean, you gave us so many great just takeaways and things that we can do to start moving in that direction of financial health, financial wellness, and the space called wealth. And you can achieve it. And I believe that wealth is all about, it's not about how much you make, it's about how much you keep. And it's about positioning yourself where when things do happen that are unforeseen, you still are going to be okay. And being able to go off and do things and you still have, things are flowing smoothly. So I know people in business, I'm in the business world, who, they've scaled their business to such a level where they can go away for a month to Spain. And that everything's fine. They ain't worry about it. They can take a month vacation. One lady that I know, one of my coaches sent her son all around the world to do a tour with chefs in these different countries. And I'm like, and things still keep moving. That's what wealth is. If you get sick, if for God, God forbid you get sick or something happens and you have to go through. I have a good friend and she's on here with us today, Mahogany Williams, who just went through her battle with breast cancer. She's still going through it, but I think she just finished her last chemo treatment maybe last month or a few weeks ago and had to be out of work for all of those months. Like, we've got to think about the unforeseen and things that we cannot control. No, we don't want it to happen, but are you positioned so that if it does happen, that you can do what's necessary? And then for some of us of a certain age, our parents are aging. My mom is aging. You got to think about that. What happens? Are you going to be able to house them with you, or will you be able to put them in a place where they really want to be, where you don't have to be worried about them being, abused in facilities? Can you put them somewhere really nice? For me, my kids are growing up quickly. I cannot believe my daughter is going to be going to high school. So in 4 years, we're talking about college. Yeah. Like, am I ready? I gotta have the real conversation. Am I truly ready? And so for everyone on Facebook who is watching us, thank you guys for being here. Those of you who are watching us through voxwave.com, hopefully this has added some great value to you, or at least giving you something to think about in terms of your own financial wellness and moving in the direction of wealth. How do people connect with you, contact you? Are you on social media? If they feel like they need a session or a consultation, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Best way to reach out would be at my website at www.jacksonsams.com. That's Jackson and then SAMS.com. I am also on Facebook at Jackson Sams Wealth, and I'm also on Twitter at Jackson Sams WS for Wealth Strategies. My practice is Jackson Sams Wealth Strategies.
Now, why is it Jackson Sams?
Go back to my story with my father. My maiden name is Jackson. So I really wanted to keep the Jackson to honor his legacy.
Oh, I love that. See, I'm big on story. I told you I'm big on story. Because
when
I'm like,
I started
Jackson Sam, that ain't your name.
Yeah, I know.
Pamela Sam.
When I started my
that.
practice, so that's why I did.
Oh, that's so powerful. It gave me goosebumps. That's very, very powerful.
Yeah, and I do have a giveaway.
Oh, yay, giveaways.
So if you text 22828, Financial Power, that's all one word.
In the feed on Facebook?
Yes, all one word, Financial Power.
Financial Power.
To 22828. It's a white paper about how to eliminate your bad money habits for 2018.
Oh, I love it. That's good. I'm going to make sure I text it when I get off the air.
Yes.
So text to the word
Financial Power.
Financial Power, all one word,
all one
no
word,
spaces.
no spaces. Yes.
To 22828. You guys got that? If somebody could type that in the feed. Hey, Karana, thanks for being here. Laditra White, thank you for being here. Angela Howes, Suzanne Branch, thank you guys for being here. If you text the word Financial Power to 22828. And then I wanted to give one more thing that I came across online as I was preparing for my conversation with Pam. Is it okay if I call you Pam? Or Pamela?
Yep,
okay.
Pam's
I know
fine.
some people be offended. My name is Pamela.
Pam is fine.
Another thing that you can do, I think, two really, really powerful things you can do as you're moving in a space of wealth is, number one, automate your finances. We were talking about this. And I was like, do you agree with these things before I get up here and say it on the air?
Yeah.
Automate your finances, so if you can have your bills that are paid automatically through your banking account, through your checking account, or whatever, that will help you to avoid missing payments and then avoiding late fees. That can be huge. Late fees can be huge, but also if you miss a payment, and then let's say for like a cell phone, if they turn it off, then they charge you this astronomical fee to reactivate it. That's money. And with cell phones, can y'all tell I had this happen before? I forgot to make the payment, and then I have 5 lines on my cell phone, so they charge you like $20 per line to reactivate it. I'm like, really? But I've been a customer for like 35 years or something like that anyway. So automate your finances. And another thing is there is an app called Acorns, Acorns, Acorns. And this is like micro investing, okay? That's what it's considered, micro investing, where you can simply start investing your spare change through this app from purchases. So let's say you go to Starbucks and you do go to Starbucks and you spend it's $4, let's say, but the bill is $3.60. Well, that extra 40 cents will go into your savings. Spare change. Isn't that amazing? So I wanted to share that because I thought that was such a powerful way to start micro investing. So I hope this has added great value. Again, thank you so much, Pamela, for being here with us. You were phenomenal. We're going to take a 2-minute break. We'll be right back with our next 2 phenomenal guests, Miss Tiffany Gill and Miss Maida Figueroa Clark. We'll be right back.
We have powerful words. We have powerful minds. We use our voices and freedom takes flight. And we're ready to work. We're ready to win. We have a strategy, and now we can begin. We are standing bolder, shoulder to shoulder. Playtime is over. Playtime is over. Now you are a champion. God is my witness. Imperfect perfection, living my mission and winning. See, we are influencers. We have fear but don't stop. I have the confidence to rise to the top. We are standing bolder, shoulder to shoulder. Playtime is over. Playtime is over. All I need is inside of me. I am enough and now I see. Yeah, I will reach my destiny. Yeah, I don't need your permission. Yes, I'm on a mission. I'll win. Oh, oh, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Now listen, I want want y'all to repeat after me, okay? Because we're going to make some declarations in here today. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. I'm building my legacy for the whole world to see. You say, I'm building my legacy for the whole world to see. Say, I'm building my legacy for the whole world to see me. Say, oh, say I'm building my legacy for the whole world to see. You say, we are standing bolder, we're shoulder to shoulder. We are standing bolder, we're shoulder to shoulder. We are standing bolder, shoulder to shoulder. Playtime is over. Playtime is over.
I never get tired of hearing that song. I just be in here jamming, like, you know. So we got to thank Tammy Turner, the phenomenal songstress herself.
Wow.
She was one of Sunday's best finalists. You have seen her here performing on the show. If you've been to my conference, the annual Playtime is Over Women's Business Conference, you've seen her there performing. She actually wrote and produced and performed that song specifically for the conference. And so it is kind of our anthem for the show. So huge shout out to Tammy Turner. If you guys can tag her and let her know we're talking about her. Yes, Karanda put the little symbols, the little music symbols. Playtime is over, because Karanda was in the building at Playtime is over. It was divine. That's all I can really say. Divinely orchestrated.
Yes.
I could never orchestrate that in that manner on my own. So you know when God has his hand in things. So, all right. So I got to give another huge shout out to my platinum sponsors of the show, Cherie M. Good of Total Harmony Enterprises. You can check her out at totalharmonyenterprises.com. And she is gearing up for her amazing annual, which is the 8th annual Recharge Health, Wellness, and Fitness Expo on April 14th from 10 to 3 at the Doubletree Hilton in Pikesville, Maryland. All you got to do is go to rechargenow2018.eventbrite.com. Yeah, Karana, like, it was phenomenal. Thank you so much. If someone could type that in the feed, rechargenow2018.eventbrite.com. You can check out, and it's a free expo. It's phenomenal. She has thousands of people who come out from the community, families and single people and whatever. Everybody is welcome. And she has workouts, and she has discussions about health and wellness. You can get your blood pressure taken for free. She has HIV screenings at no cost that's done in a very private, intimate space. She has the big Colgate bus that comes, and kids can come and get free dental exams and checkups. And it's really a phenomenal event, so you want to check that out. And then our platinum partner, Ladrine Peterson, who is a career strategist, who's passionate about helping others to optimize and implement their ideas. And she is huge on turning dreamers into doers. You want to visit her at do-it-delivers.com. So thank you to our platinum sponsors. So on to our next just phenomenal woman who's here with me looking all beautiful. Aww. Her name is Maida Figueroa Clark. I love saying your name. Did I mention that?
Thank
Maida.
you.
Like, I just love Maida. Like, I always roll my tongue a little
Rican.
bit. Yeah,
Puerto Rican.
I am, girl. We're going to go dancing. At some point, you're going to take me dancing.
Yes, I will.
Maida Figueroa Clark is passionate about propelling individuals towards their destined purpose, partner, and creating a safe, nurturing space where relationships can flourish. She's a certified life coach and professional speaker, and she seizes every opportunity to help women overcome the challenges that hinder their relationships. She empowers women to take charge of the difficult situations standing in the way of the love they seek, and to make impactful changes on a daily basis. She has been coined the love expert. So, I mean, that's appropriate. It's Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day, the love expert. And she can be found speaking to women about their fears, their fumbles, and their fantasies that hold them back from an authentic relationship. I think I heard you say we were at an event recently, and you said something about I help single women who have not dated since Moses.
Yes.
to like get to the altar. Welcome to the show.
I am so excited to be here, Cheryl.
So
Thank you. Thank
so
you.
the love expert. Well, this is your day.
This is my day, essentially. But I believe love should be every day. I don't believe that Valentine's Day should be coined a day. I think every
guess
day
what?
should
Like
be.
I told the owner here, I said, let my husband not come home with some flowers. Ooh. It's gonna be a child, honey. Ooh. You got to know your partner, your spouse,
That's
your mate.
true. You gotta know.
I do expect long stem roses every Valentine's Day. Now, I'm not big on gifting. Like, I don't need diamonds and I don't need that kind of stuff. But I do need some expression of love. I mean, it is a day. We do everything else. We do, Christmas, you get gifts for people.
Yeah,
Thanksgiving, we get together and celebrate and cook the turkey. So why you can't bring some flowers for Valentine's Day? That's just my thought.
Yeah.
You got to know your partner.
You have to know your partner.
Yeah.
But I think for those who don't have a partner,
you have Galentine's Day.
You got it. What's Galentine's Day?
That's what they call it now.
That's what I hear.
Yeah, Galentine's, gals.
Oh, okay.
Girls, women, us sisters loving on each other.
Right, but how about the bros? Right, the brothers just don't brag.
Valentine's. We gonna make up something up in this studio. So they got Valentine's, Galentine's, and Valentine's. If the men want to love on each other too, y'all go ahead, do your bromance thing.
Do bromance. Do bromance.
So look, why has this become so important to you? Why has this whole, because you're married, you're happily married.
I'm healthily married.
Yes.
And that's important to know, right?
Yes.
But I got married in my mid-30s, and I went through the journey of I don't need a man, ain't no man around that's going to do this and that for me. I got this. By 40, I was going to adopt my kids. I didn't need no sperm. He's just a sperm donor. All those ideas and that narrative, that negative talk about men was all through my head. And I can remember when I heard the whisper. I was laying in bed, and I heard the whisper that said I was created to be a wife. And it broke me because I didn't want to be a wife because of what I saw. There was no good examples. I didn't know how to be. The husbands weren't. How was I going to get there? And that's what started my journey, because I thought, if this is what is supposed to be in my soul, then I better do something about it.
I love that. So then let me ask you this question then. And there's no right or wrong answer, but do you think that all women are destined to be wives, or do you think some women are destined to stay single?
No, I don't think all people are destined to be. I mean, that's, no. But however, do you know the statistics?
No, please tell me.
All right, so we have, 7.2 billion?
Yeah, like 7.6 billion people in the world.
Yeah, more or less, no? Okay, so we have 49% single men. 51% single women. So the percentage of those who want to be Pauls or Paula, whatever, where you stay single for the rest of your life, is small. We're talking about a 2% difference. So I don't think everyone is destined to be married, but who wants to grow old alone?
Yeah, and I'm getting older real quick. I'm like, I ain't liking it. I got to hold on to this man, because I got to make sure I hold on to this man. Stop. Well, I love that.
He ain't gonna let you go.
No, I ain't going nowhere. I tell him all the time. Let me stop acting crazy. So I love that you are supporting single women who really are looking for love. They're not playing. No. They're not playing games. They really want love. And ultimately, as I hear you say often, they ultimately want to get to the altar.
Yes,
marriage-minded. They're marriage-minded.
Singles.
So how do you help them get out of their way? Like, what are some of the things they're doing to stand in their own way? And how do you help them get out their way?
First of all, it starts with our head. It starts with our mindset. Like I was telling you about my own narrative. My narrative was, there are no good men out here. Men are no good. I didn't respect men. And so it was this mind shift that I had to do. And I teach my women how to shift their own narrative, their own self-talk, so they can start talking and magnetizing their true love and changing their love story. Sometimes we got to go back. Like, what was your love story? Where did you experience love? Where was love broken for you? And then once we could get to that point, it is easy to just switch that. It is that easy. Once you understand that this is where love was broken, then I know how to flip it for you.
I love that. Because there's always, I think, to every problem there's a solution. To every challenge there's a solution. But a lot of times we choose to focus on the problem versus the solution. And that is a mindset shift, and that's an energy shift. Because when your energy is focused on the negative part, when it's focused on the challenge that's depleting you and draining you and keeping you from what you want, versus this positive energy that says, that happened, and I acknowledge it, and I didn't like it, and I didn't like the way I felt, but I know that there's a solution to this. I think there's a different energy that comes out from you, and you speak to that, because I heard you speak about
and you start
opening yourself up.
And you start attracting that energy, not only with men, but in general, with life. You start, I remember that shift and feeling like I'm coin the parking fairy. You know, in D.C., you can never find parking, but
Right.
if you ride with me, you always find one. Because I know that energy, whatever you focus on, is what you'll receive.
Yeah, it's what expands. What you think about and what you focus on is what expands.
It is the truth.
And so talk about women opening themselves up for love, because I've heard you say some amazing, juicy things that I love. Like one of the things you talk about is being aware of the fact that you can find love in so many different places.
Yeah.
And sometimes, but you're not open for the love. So you talk about the woman who's sitting on the metro and she has her headphones in and she has her head down. Talk about that.
I call her the invisible woman, right? The invisible woman, because we walk around, we get up, we go to the gym with the little buds on, we work out, then we take the buds out, we wipe the sweat, get dressed for work, and then what we do? We're in the metro with the little buds on. Their heads are down. Their husband could be right in front of them, but they can't see, and they don't want to see, and they don't notice. One of my diamond girls, I have a diamonds program, just last night, she said that she went out on Friday. She had a rough day. She went out with 2 of her girlfriends, and she's been doing my course only 2 weeks. And so she said she went out, and she got 3 numbers. She said, people were saying I was beautiful. People like, can I get your number? Can you take my number? Can we go out for coffee? She said, I never. She, 40 years old, single mom, divorced.
So what was the shift for her?
The shift was you just gotta look.
Take
off those buds and look. Men love women. That is just a fact.
Men love women. Hello.
I mean, there's nothing about that. Men
so
are attracted to our curves,
so
to our skin, to our eyes,
because
to our
you can look at your worst, and somebody still gonna say something. You be like, really, dude?
I have 4 curlers in my hair.
Exactly. So you're right. It's a natural, for the most part, it's a natural attraction.
And so when you open your eyes and you look up, ooh-wee.
Right.
What? You giving a man eye contact? You smiling? That's it.
Right.
That's an invitation. Right. That's a window open. That's a card slip. That's a what you do in the night. That's all. That's the beginning.
Yeah.
And then I teach strategies on how to keep that going, how to continue that attraction, and then how to weed out those that you definitely are not going to have a future with.
Yeah, I love that. So first of all, I think you mentioned you have to know what you want and what you're looking for, but then you have to be open to shifting your mindset and shifting your body language.
Yes.
Because it's not just what you say, it's not the verbal, it's also the nonverbal cues.
Absolutely.
Like you said, that women know how to flirt, and women know how to be flirtatious when they want to, and we know how to do that thing with our eyes where a man knows that we're checking him out, or we smile, and some of us have just forgotten basics like how to smile.
That's it, yeah.
Because we so grouchy, we so used to being by ourselves, or life has just kind of beat us down,
Absolutely.
or a previous relationship beat us down. And now we don't even know how to smile at people. But like you said, that just the eye contact and a smile can be the invitation that starts a conversation.
That's it.
That's very powerful. I hope y'all are taking notes, because this is some good juicy
Hey,
stuff.
Hey,
Domily, thanks for being here. Karen Webster's here with us. Natalie Brown, Corey Wilson, Tia Paul Robinson, thanks for being here. Pamela Sams, Ladrine is here, Carla Watson is here, Shanae Robinson, Veranda. Woo, and the list goes on and on. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank
Please
you
share this
for
out, because
coming
Myra
in.
is dropping some very powerful nuggets for our single ladies who are looking for love.
And,
now, do you believe?
And that's the other switch.
Yeah.
That's the other shift, I don't say looking for love.
Okay.
Right? I don't believe a woman should be looking. I think a woman should be preparing.
Preparing for love.
Absolutely.
Okay, so explain the difference between looking and preparing.
Right, because looking is you're actually going out and seeking something. Right? Well, I still am pretty old-fashioned, and I believe that a woman should be sought out. And naturally, men are hunters. Like, naturally, men are superheroes.
But, well, that's good. Let me be devil's advocate.
Yes,
But do you believe that there are some women who are hunters?
No.
Do you think they shouldn't be, or do you think they aren't?
No, I believe that in the way of a relationship, we need to continue being gatherers and not hunters.
Very interesting.
Now, this is what's the shift, is that we are all business women. And so that masculine energy, you have to use it. You got to seek out. You got to network. That is part of being a businesswoman.
Yeah.
And so switching that constantly is where it becomes tricky.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, because I even as a wife, you're right. You know, there has to be a certain energy that I exude when I'm in the marketplace. Like when I'm out and I'm in my wealth work, don't play with my money.
Right.
Like I'm about my business, and I expect you to be about your business. I expect you to be professional, and I'm nice and I'm gonna smile, but don't play with me.
Right.
I'm just saying, right? But I
you
can't
have
take
to have
that
that.
same energy home. When I go home and I pull up into that parking lot or parking garage, I've got to make sure I've switched my hat, and now I'm not the head honcho up in my household. Right. My husband is. And I always have to remember that it's okay. So talk about that then. Oh, I got so much I want. You have to come back again. So talk about that, because, you know, if you're a person who, you know, you read the Bible, you look at what the Bible says, you believe it, then there's, you know, something in the Bible that says the wife really should kind of be the person that's taking care of the home, and she should be submissive to her husband. So is submissive a bad word?
So this is the thing. No, it's not a curse word, right? A lot of women feel like submission, sacrifice, you know, all those things are curse words. These are not curse words. These are good words. These words create boundaries for us and create safe places for us. But we submit all the time, every day, whether we're driving and there's a car coming, you submit and let that car go. That doesn't mean you're giving up your car. Your keys aren't going anywhere. You're still your own person. And I think that has been the shift, is that too many women, and really a lot of times churches, has changed that word submission to mean you give up of. You're still you're still Cheryl, but you just now you're yielding to your man.
Yeah. I love that. And it doesn't have to be something that's yucky. It doesn't have to be something that makes you feel like you are diminishing who you are. I love when my husband takes charge. Like, it's actually sexier for me. Like, boy, you better do that thing, right? I love when he takes charge.
Come here.
And I think a lot of us, but I think that goes back to, for some of us, the history of women, and that we come from broken homes and broken families. And my mom was a single mom, and I watched her be tough, and I watched her be the strong Black woman. But she didn't know how to teach me vulnerability because she didn't have time to be vulnerable. She was raising 3 kids in a housing project, trying to keep food on the table and keep us on the straight and narrow. So a lot of us grow up with those things that we then carry into potential relationships. And do you believe that a man can spot those things from a mile away?
Smell it.
Smell it.
Smell it. It's just there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I call it energy, feminine energy, masculine energy. And the truth is that masculine energy attracts feminine energy. And so if you have a lot of masculine energy as a woman...
I mean, why does everybody want to get in touch with me today? I'm not understanding why
maybe
I'm
they
so
wanted to call in. They have a question.
I've never had my phone ring like 4 times in the middle of the
broadcast. They have a love question.
question.
But, you know, if you have masculine energy just coming out of your ears and your eyes, and then you wondering why you keep attracting these passive men, it's because you're attracting feminine energy. So if you want to start attracting that man who takes charge, just tone it down a little. Yeah. Just tone it down, bring it down. And you start attracting that man, sometimes too many of them.
You got options.
That's it. I had one client say, I have dated 8 men in this last month. How do you break up with all of them?
Okay, so what's your answer to that?
I said, no, we don't break up. There's no commitment. You have 1 date with 8 men. So what?
Right.
Have 5 dates with 8 men. Then we could talk. But really, how many times do we allow ourselves as women, to be girls, to be taken out, to be wine and dine? You know, that is one of the things that I teach my women, is how to relax and enjoy this. Because sometimes we find one man, hold on, okay, he's it. He's the one. And it's like, no, honey, 7.2 billion people up in this planet. He can't be the one. Just try others. You do not have to be tied down, because he's not. You know, men make it clear when they're ready to commit. We commit at day 1. Right? We commit.
Girl, I think I found husband.
We commit when the bread comes at the restaurant. You know, a man is like, oh, let me try her on here. Let me try her on there. Let me try. And then when he's ready to commit, he's going forward.
Now, let's be very clear. We're not talking about intimacy. We're talking about dating. Explain to people, because see, we have a certain age, and in this generation, a lot of women and men don't understand courting. Like, it's a thing. It's a real thing. So talk about courting versus, you're not saying be intimate with all these different people. You're saying court, date.
Absolutely. Please don't. That's the thing. So someone would say, do you believe that we should hold the cookies? I'm like, look, first of all, it ain't cookies. It is the most precious thing that you have in your body.
Are we? Go, keep going.
It is super precious. It is like gems. So it's not cookies that you could bake or buy anywhere. It is something you got to dig and polish and break through to get to. And so if it's that precious, then it should be that hard to get to it. So no, hold on. Leave your legs crossed. There's a reason why women could cross their legs, right? Leave your legs crossed and leave your mind open. There's no reason. Once we give up, see, for women, for men, sex is primitive. For the most part, they just need it like eating and drinking. For women, that's a form of communication.
Yeah.
Right? That's a form of how we say, I love you. Here's my body. I love you. I want you. I want to tell you that I love you through my body. So if you're going to do all that, then hold on. Just hold on.
I love it. I love it. Such great, and I'm trying to get us back up and rolling. If people stop calling me, you know what I mean? We can get back on Facebook Live. But I want you to talk about something I've heard you talk about frequently, which is the list. Talk about the list that a lot of women create, and
so it's controversial. I'm the salmon, right? I go against the current, so I know it's controversial. But I always ask my women, make a list of what you desire. Now cross out everything that you can measure.
So give us an example.
So I want him to be 6 foot. And I would love for him to have 6 figures, and I would love, all these sixes, right?
Yeah.
6-pack, right? All those things.
6 foot with a 6-pack and 6 figures. Oh, I love it.
Girl,
that's so good.
Sound so good, right? Sound good.
Sounds so good.
So my man had a 6-pack when we met. He don't know no. But look, here's the deal, right? These things are not guaranteed. Not even if you get it in the beginning. They're not guaranteed. People gain weight, people have accidents, people lose their jobs, all those things. I know of a woman who got married, and a day after their honeymoon, he went to fix something in the roof, fell, and became paralyzed from the waist down. Those things are just not guaranteed. I always say you got to look at the character of a man. You have to see on who do you want to grow old with? Who do you want to be there when you're having a surgery? Who do you want to be there when your mother dies? Like, you got to look at the character and the heart of a man, because really that 6 foot, 6-pack, 6 figures man is working hard in the gym and at work. He may not have time to be at the hospital with you while your mother is dying.
You better say it. Girl, you preach it up here. So you're going to come back, right?
I'll come back.
Okay, you're going to come back. We're going to do a whole segment. We're going to do a whole hour segment and we're going to prep for it because I'm sure that we can take questions.
Oh, that'd be fun.
In our listening audience, our viewing audience, and I'm sure it's a bunch of people. And it's Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day.
Oh, so you see my love.
Yes.
And the wine.
Yes. Are you doing something? So I know you guys don't really.
So I always say, please don't. It's too commercialized. He, of course, sent me flowers and.
Great. Come on, you got to do it, guys.
Yes, he did it all up, and he got my little back stalk. So I'm going to do it up. I can't say it online because he may be listening, but tonight, baby, you got something. We'll put the babies down early.
We put the babies to sleep early, honey. I was talking about that on Good Morning Washington the other day. I said you got to keep it spicy. I love flirting with my husband. We 17 years in, honey. 17 years in, 10 years married, and that man still do it for me.
You got to.
Boy,
you got to squeeze that little butt every now and then.
Because we can have our own little conversation. But you've been phenomenal. You are definitely going to come back. I love the way you approach things. I'm never going to forget the 6-pack, 6 figures, 6 feet. I would never ever forget that. You gotta take some stuff off. And we're not saying that you should lower your standards
or compromise,
but you talk
settle.
About characteristics of a man, the character of the man, and that is so important. And let me ask one more question: do you believe in the kind of 80-20 rule? Like, if he gives you 80% of what you want, that you can overlook the other 20%? Or do you feel like, there's... Are you got to give us an answer in 30 seconds?
Really, I don't have that much time. But the short answer is no.
Okay.
The short answer is no. I think a relationship is something that you grow together, just like a garden. It is not something that we could put on percentages. There will be times in my relationship with my husband, there were dark times.
But I mean, when you're looking for the man, when you're looking for your mate, Do you believe in the 80-20 rule?
Well, the
Meaning,
20 is the physical.
Find 80% of what you want in a man, and if he's missing the 20% of what you want, that could be a good catch.
That could be a good catch. Yes,
Okay.
I would agree
Because I
with
believe in that. I believe in the
I would agree
80-20.
with that.
Is he 80% of the man that I want? Because I don't think you'll ever get 100%.
No.
So maybe he
Jesus
is
does not
kind
walk on
and
earth yet.
Right, and maybe he's kind and he's giving to you and he puts you first, and he, like my husband. I love my husband. My husband ain't out hanging on the street. He ain't out with his boys. No, he's home.
Right.
And when I'm traveling, I'm traveling all over the world as a speaker, he's home taking care of my
Yes,
kids.
yes.
Like, that matters to me. Now, that means he always the most exciting person in the world. Like, I usually gotta plan stuff for us to do, but can I live with that?
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yes.
I can live with that 20%
Yes.
because he feels this 80%
Absolutely.
of what I value most in a man.
That's where you have to get to. What do you
Yeah.
value? What is the most important?
But stop
What
looking for perfection, because you ain't perfect.
Because that's exactly what I talk about. You can't be asking for a six-pack. You got a muffin top. Stop playing.
Maida Figueroa Clark, the love expert. You heard it here on Valentine's Day. Y'all better get y'all mess together. Stop
Love you
looking for
guys.
perfection, because you ain't perfect. Stop asking for a six-pack and you got a muffin top. Stop playing. Stop playing. There's so many things you said I'm going to be repeating. And that carries over into marriage. Stop acting like your man, you 17 years in, you want her to have a six-pack, but you got a muffin top.
Right,
Still. Like,
stop.
so everything you teach, I think, is applicable.
It is.
And it carries over into having these beautiful, exciting marriages. And so I love you. I love your spirit.
Oh,
I know that this is your calling. I was talking to Sharon about that earlier, that you can tell when it's someone's calling. And this is definitely your calling. I've watched you. I've seen you grow and progress and to really impact other people's lives and women's lives. And I just love what you do.
Thank you so
keep
much.
Up the great work. How
really
can people get in
appreciate
touch with you?
So I am Mayra, M-A-Y-R-A, the love expert on all social media platforms.
Somebody taught you. Wow.
I wonder who.
I don't know who it was, auntie. But she said, Mayra, the love expert on all social media platforms. You ain't got to guess.
That's
Just
it.
Google her.
Just Google
And what's your
me.
website?
And it's www.myratheloveexpert.com.
Girl, you had a good coach. That's all.
I had an amazing coach.
I love you, love you,
Look
love
her
you.
up.
We are going to bring on our final guest for today, the amazing Tiffany Gill of Black Girls Unscripted. Oh, you're in for a treat. So hang tight. We'll be right back.
Bye-bye, guys.
We have powerful words, we have powerful minds. We use our voices and freedom takes flight. And we're ready to work, we're ready to win. We have a strategy and now we can begin. We are standing bolder, shoulder to shoulder. Playtime is over. Playtime is over. Now you are a champion. God is my witness. Imperfect perfection. Living my mission and winning. See, we are influencers. We have fear but don't stop. I have the confidence to rise to the top. We are standing bolder, shoulder to shoulder. Playtime is over. Playtime is over. All I need is inside of me. I am enough and now I see. Yeah, I will reach my destiny. Yeah. I don't need your permission. Yes, I'm on a mission. I'll win. Oh, oh, oh yeah. Oh, yeah. Now listen, I want y'all to repeat after me, okay? Because we're going to make some declarations in here today. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. I'm building my legacy for the whole world to see. You say, I'm building my legacy for the whole world to see. Say, I'm building my legacy for the whole world to see me. Say, oh, say I'm building my legacy a sea for the whole world to see. You say we are standing bolder, we're shoulder to shoulder. We are standing bolder, we're shoulder to shoulder. We are standing bolder, shoulder to shoulder. Playtime is over. Playtime is over. Hey, yeah.
All right, we gotta give a huge shout out to our technician who's in the building, Mr. Ron. Thank you so much for all of your support. And he's switching out chords and switching stuff in and putting the music on and you cannot do it alone. Anything that you're gonna do successful, you cannot do it alone. So we just want to give a huge shout out not only to Vox Wave for having us here on the air, but also to our technician, Mr. Ron. Thank you so much. All right, and so we get to close out this amazing day. Happy Valentine's Day. If y'all didn't hear it, if nobody has told you, it can be either Happy Valentine's Day, Happy Galentine's Day for the girls, or Happy Valentine's Day. You get to choose what works for you. But we are so excited about this day of love. Loving yourself, loving your spouse, your partner, loving your girlfriends, loving yourself enough to tell your story and share your truth for other people. So let me introduce this beautiful lady to my left, Miss Tiffany Gill. She is a dynamic writer, speaker, and passionate advocate for women, girls, and their families. After completing her studies at the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, Tiffany started her career in financial services with T. Rowe Price. I have not heard that name in such a long time. She later transitioned to the nonprofit arena and has spearheaded several successful marketing, communication, and fundraising efforts for major national organizations, including Boys and Girls Clubs, Goodwill, Big Brothers Big Sisters, and the Autism Society of America. I'm so happy to see that getting so much attention now in the space that we're in. She's also created curriculum-based empowerment initiatives for at-risk girls in conjunction with school systems, social service agencies, and community-based organizations in the Baltimore and Washington, D.C. areas. In 2013, Tiffany launched Black Opal Media, a multimedia communications company focused on creating entertaining, inspiring, and life-changing films and campaigns for teens, women, and other underserved demographics. In the same year, she also created the Black Girls Unscripted Project, and that's what I really know you for through social media. The Black Girls Unscripted Project, which is an empowerment initiative focused on helping girls of color to find their voice. Y'all know she's speaking to my soul right there with that. Finding their voice, increasing media literacy, and connecting with positive female mentors. Tiffany was a 2016 L'Oreal Women of Worth finalist. She has appeared on several radio outlets, including the Tom Joyner Morning Show, WOLB, WHUR, and her writing has been featured in The Root, Huffington Post, and For Harriet. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's so exciting to meet you finally.
Finally,
I know. And thanks to AJ for connecting me with so many amazing people. And it's just it's so good to have you here. So why don't you kind of give us your backstory of why you do the work that you do and why you're so passionate. Because I believe when people do things at this level for this length of time, it's something that truly it hits a heart space for them.
Sure.
So just tell us about that, a little bit about your background, what got you started, and why you're so passionate about it.
So my background, outside of the work that I do for Black Girls Unscripted, is wanting to... I was so fortunate, Cheryl, to have so many amazing women around me when I grew up, neighbors, aunties, cousins, who really were great examples to me of what it was or what it meant to be a Black woman. They were dynamic. They did it all. Wow. Moms, wives, they worked. I mean, to see this. And they cared for their own, and they cared for you as well. Right. So for me, the opportunity to create those spaces now more than ever is what drives me. We've gotten so far away from the big mamas and the aunties and the kitchen conversations. And there are a lot of reasons for that, right? But for me, it's important to keep that going, to keep that safety net, because that's what it was for me. You know, I had, my mom's dynamic, but I had a friend, an older woman that I could talk to, things that I couldn't discuss with my mom. And she was phenomenal. She helped drive those conversations that I need to have with my mother.
Right.
But she was also that older friend that I can confide in.
Yeah.
And that was hugely beneficial to me growing up.
Yeah.
And so that's what drives me. The fact that we see so little of that, for all the wonderful things that technology has done for society. It's done a disservice, I think, in terms of how we communicate and how our relationships look now.
Oh yeah, that's too close. Look, I can see myself real close. I can see the freckles in my face. Go ahead.
So yeah, that's what drives this work. There's another experience though that I had that made me launch Black Girls Unscripted, and that was a few years back. My then mentee, her name was Alicia, shared with me that she'd attempted to commit suicide. I hadn't seen Alicia in years. Her dad was in the military and they moved to Texas. So we sort of, emailed each other and then the email stopped. But she came back to DC to visit her grandmother. I met back up with her and she showed me the scars on her wrist. And she's 13 years old. Oh. And so I'm thinking to myself, what in the world now we see this happening often as young as 8 years old, right?
Yes.
But at the time it blew me away.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine what was going on in her world that was so profound, right? And so she shared with me a number of things, and outside of what we later realized were some mental health issues that needed to be addressed, with a lot of bullying.
Yes.
She was very ashamed of her dark skin. She had a full nose and full lips, her hair, so she'd been teased about that, very low self-esteem.
Yeah.
And another profound thing she said to me in that conversation was that she didn't think there was anything good about growing up to be a Black woman. And those two things alone were enough for me to really get to thinking about how we can intervene. It's mandatory that we as Black women intervene in some way. And so I got to thinking, what is that point of connection? Like, where do girls and women connect? Storytelling.
Yeah.
So we combine storytelling and mentoring and intergenerational healing all together. I feel if we're going to grow and learn and get better, let's do it together. Let's let our daughters see the vulnerable. We talked earlier about your mom not wanting to see you guys to see her vulnerable. And then you in turn didn't get that understanding of what it means.
Exactly.
And so it's important that our girls see us, that they see the journey is ongoing, that there's so much that we have learned and have yet to learn, that we don't always have it together, that they see mom and older women are figuring this thing out just like they are, but the wisdom that they take, and it's a reciprocal relationship. I've learned so much just from talking to the young girls that we work with in our program. So
everything you said is just like, again, I got goosebumps because it's so powerful. And like you said, it is that intergenerational piece of, and like you said, being able to see women, even grown women who still trying to get their stuff together, like we're not perfect and we'll never be perfect. But I think being able to show our girls, young girls, that we have struggles too. We have some of us are still working on our own self-esteem and our own self-awareness and
it's
confidence.
Okay. It's okay.
It's okay. And that's the thing that, and I talked to I have a 14-year-old daughter, and to be very honest, and some girls don't have this in their lives, and so I think that's important. What you're doing is so critical to bring them into the space, because they don't all have that space in their own environment or in their network. And so to be able to pull them into the space, I was watching one of your videos online, and it was all these women and girls just sitting around, and it just looked so inviting. And I love that. It wasn't conference-y. It wasn't like, oh, we're going to teach you, we're going to lecture you. It was, we're embracing you and bringing you into this fold because we're family. Yeah. And I love that you take that approach to it, because young girls today need us. They need us in a way like never before.
Like never before.
They are suffering with things that every generation has their own challenges. But the self-esteem thing, because of everything they see on social media and in the media, and it makes you think that this is pretty, but this is not. If you don't look like this, talk like this, do this, that you're not beautiful. And it's so, like you said, it's up to us as women to help our young girls find the beauty in who they are. So tell me about some of the things, some of the initiatives that you embark upon, how often do you host them? Do you collaborate with other people? And typically, what happens at these events?
Sure. So you mentioned the gathering of the women and girls. We call that Cupcakes and Conversations.
Okay.
So, and that's, you hit it right on the nail. that's the approach. We want people to feel relaxed and comfortable and open. In advance, we have people write out their questions. Girls can write out their questions to adults. Adults can write out their questions to girls. It's totally anonymous, so there's no pressure, there's no embarrassment. Very open discussions about a number of topics. We have someone present, for example, at that particular one, we had a woman talk about mental health, which is critical, and often not discussed in our community, and certainly not discussed enough. So we always have a key speaker, but the objective of the Cupcakes and Conversations really is to just keep it flowing, and to get our girls used to speaking out. Particularly girls of color, they tend to fall back. They don't often have a seat at the table, and so that's really what Cupcakes and Conversations provide. You are important. What you have to say is important. What you think is important. Here is us receiving you, and here's what we have to say in response. And so again, it's a great reciprocal way of gaining wisdom on both sides, learning and understanding on both sides. Women start to see themselves in these girls. Girls start to envision themselves as these powerful women who are around them. And so you just leave feeling energized. That's one of our group events that we do. And anybody who wants to partner with us on that, we can talk about how they can get in touch with us. It's absolutely open. So we're open to anyone who wants to host the Cupcakes and Conversations event. Let us know. We also do things in schools with libraries, with community centers, and those are more on the programmatic side. So we have a Girl Griot project, and that's really our storytelling initiative. We get girls to become and learn to become vulnerable, and more importantly, introspective. And so they start out journaling, and then eventually they go to other forms of media. So we may do, a little video, Periscope, or something like that. But really the practice of thinking things through, getting in touch with your emotions and writing them out, and then weeks and months later being able to look back at what you wrote and say, wow, I don't feel that way anymore. Look at where I am now. It's such a healing process for our girls.
That's so critical.
So that's one of our other key programs. We do
that is
some
so
of the work
critical,
around
what
media
you just
literacy.
said. Yeah, what you just said about teaching them that what you feel right now, the emotion you have right now may not be the emotion you have 30 days from now, 10 days from now. And I got into that conversation with my 14-year-old because the young girl who committed suicide in the DC school, and she was only 12 years old. And I was I have to bring these conversations up with my daughter so that she understands that nothing is worth, no emotion in the moment is worth you taking your life, because you won't feel the same way down the road. And I think a part of that situation could have potentially been mental health. So I think that's great that you're bringing that conversation, because that's a lot. Our community doesn't talk about that a lot, but it's real. It is real. I know firsthand, because I had a very, very close, and I won't divulge who, but very close relative who has gone through that. And it was one of the hardest things I've ever been through in my entire life. And we're still dealing with that. So it's real. And it sometimes happens when you least expect it. And the person could have been fine their entire life, and life happens and things happen, and you find yourself in a situation having to deal with that, and people don't like to talk about it in our community. So I love that you're opening the dialogue for some of the, like I said, I don't know what's going on today. I don't know why I'm so popular today on the phone, but I don't take that many phone calls ever. But I love that you are opening the dialogue and making it a free dialogue where they're not pressured, because you're making it anonymous. They can write their questions beforehand, and it can just be presented to the entire group. And so if you want to get involved, first of all, if young girls want to be involved in the group as a participant, how do they do that? And then on the other hand of that, if adults want to support it or sponsor it, or whatever it is, however they can support, how do they do that?
So for the girls, we have what's called BGU listening sessions. And we've partnered with Prince George's County and Baltimore County Libraries to host those. We will be launching those starting again in April. So if any girl is interested in being a part of those listening sessions, they can send, put in the subject line of the email, BGU listening session, and send an email to info@blackgirlsunscripted.org.
Could somebody type that in the feed? All of you guys who are still watching us and with us on Facebook Live. Again, it's going to be, you're going to send an email to info@blackgirlsunscripted.com. .org. And you're going to put in the subject line BGU listening session.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, so that's how a young girl would get involved. Is it
Correct.
the same for?
Well, for any of the adults who want to host the Cupcakes and Conversations, or sponsor or partner, or any of
Yes.
those things, it's just partnership at the same email address.
Okay, beautiful. So those of you who want to get involved and you know this is something that speaks to your soul, you want to send an email to partnership@blackgirlsunscripted.org. One of the things I would like to go ahead and volunteer to do right here on air is my daughter, who's 14, has written 2 books. She wrote her first book when she was 9 years old, and she wrote her second book when she was
What's her
11. Jayana Wood.
Go, Jayana!
Yes. And when she was 11, she wrote the most recent book, and it's called the Little Book of Youth Tips.
Wow.
And it's specifically for girls who are in their tween and teen
Sure.
ages.
I love it.
And one of the things that I impress upon her is the importance of always giving back
Yep.
to support others.
Yep.
And so she recently just donated or sponsored, if you will, 75 copies of her autographed book
wow.
to an organization in Atlanta, Georgia called Young Bell Project. And they work specifically with girls who are in group homes and girls
sure.
who are going through the foster system.
Yeah,
And every year they do this amazing brunch. I was one of their speakers last year. They do this amazing brunch for 75 girls, and they bring them into this beautiful setting, and they just treat them like royalty. And so this year we decided that one of Jayana's give backs for the community would be to sponsor 75 times. So we'd love to do the same for your
be
group, for
honored.
whatever your next session is. Jayana will definitely, and I know she doesn't have a problem with me
Yes.
volunteering
No,
that she would
that's
sponsor
incredible.
autographed copies of her book. Just
Thank
because,
you.
like you said, sometimes it's about other girls and other women seeing
Sure.
themselves in us and being willing to be a role model for someone else to say it's possible.
And then for Jayana, she's right there, right? We're somewhat removed from those experiences, kind of
Yes.
peer to peer. That's important. Be honored.
Yes.
Thank you, Jayana.
Yes,
Thank
and
you, Jayana.
even Jayana she's very shy, and we've had conversations about self-esteem because she, again, media tells you one thing is beautiful, and we've had that conversation about her not really feeling pretty.
Sure.
And so I kind of had this habit of making her look in the mirror, look directly at herself every single day, and say, "You are beautiful.
Absolutely.
I love you."
It's important.
And it becomes, and it may not sink in that moment, but I believe over time, as you keep having that reinforced in your mind,
Sure.
you're beautiful, I love you, you're beautiful, I love you. At some point, it will click.
It will click.
And that's why I love that you're doing this, because those young girls and even women, they need that, and they need that outlet to express what's going on, and to feel heard is so powerful.
To feel heard, but to also feel connected, that I'm not alone.
Yes.
Right? Because we find that you think that whatever that thing is you're going through, you're the only person in the world who's ever had that experience. To know,
So
to sit
true.
across from someone who's had that exact same experience and see how they overcame it.
Yeah.
It's pretty powerful. And so, we live in a society now where validation rules, and that sort of validation comes from all the wrong places. I tell the girls, the most important story is the story that we tell ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's important. So I'm beautiful. That's your story.
Right,
That's your story every
right.
single day. I'm smart.
Yeah.
I'm talented. I'm
Yeah.
kind. Whatever that good thing is, start there and just build out.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to keep telling our daughters and reminding ourselves, as you
Absolutely.
mentioned. And again, that's the beautiful part about doing this together. Hearing other people's stories help you find words to explain what you might have been going through that you couldn't articulate.
Yeah.
Hearing someone else's story, it's nothing like being in a room full of women. Girl, I understand you. I know we got connection. I got it. Those things are critical. They're healing to the soul.
Yeah.
And again, it's important that we do this for so many reasons. We're seeing, not to get political here, but we're seeing what's happening. A lot of things are rolling back that are detrimental and harmful to our community. So it's even more critical that we empower the next generation of girls so that they understand their value, not only in their communities and their families, but the value that they hold is very strong political and economic powerhouses, because that's who we are.
Absolutely.
That's who we are. And our girls need to understand that too.
I love that. Everything that you're saying, just, it makes me know that you're called to do this. I believe everybody has a calling. You've heard me say that all show long. everybody has a calling on their life and a gifting and a divine assignment. And I really believe this is your divine assignment. Like there's something about your spirit and your demeanor and your energy that just says to me, this is the work that you've been called to do.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
It oozes out of you. I tell people that all the time. It's like when you're doing what you love and what you've been assigned to do, it oozes out of you. You like can't control it.
Sure.
So let's talk really quickly about, as we start to wrap up, what is your opinion of some of the this is challenging for me because I want to root for people and I want to support and I want to encourage, but some of the portrayals of women that we are seeing in the media that young girls are taking to,
right?
Sometimes it's a little disturbing to me because it's like we celebrate sometimes the wrong things. Like we're celebrating someone who curses every other word out of their mouth and who uses their body sexually in a way to feel powerful. Can you speak to that and your opinion on that?
I've had and you might not have been talking because there's so many, in terms of misrepresentation of media, there's so many opportunities to misrepresent black women. But I've had a very strong disdain for reality TV for a long time. For that reason.
Yes.
But it's not just reality TV. It's magazines. It's Instagram. It's social media. There are so many opportunities for our girls to get the wrong message, right? And the unfortunate part about it is that it's hard to combat it all. You just can't. So two things that I think that are critical, and that's the pushback against the negative, right? So it really depends on your perspective. We could focus all day long on the garbage, reality TV shows, but then when you put out, which we really work hard to do on our website and on Twitter and Facebook, positive representation of black women and black girls. When they see that there's an alternative and understand that this is okay, this is all fabricated, right? There are producers back there pushing buttons, getting people upset, forcing those confrontations. When our girls understand that, and that's another thing that we do in our media literacy training, we help them understand what goes into all of the things that they see and break those things down so they have a better understanding. It's all money driven. At the end of the day,
that's right.
It's all about the numbers, it's all about the viewers, which drives the ads and all of that creates revenue. No one cares about how you feel, really, just that you like the show. So we explain that. But then the other side is to really make sure that we push those positive images, make sure that we have conversations with our daughters, with our neighbors, with girls that we come in contact that just counter that. That's the role that we can play as individuals. I also encourage people to do what we're doing. It's nothing to get 5 or 10 girls and maybe gather at your church basement or a business that's not being utilized on the weekend and have these conversations and invite the moms to come because mom-daughter stuff that's
that's
that could use some fixing.
Exactly.
That could use some fixing. So again, all of this can happen. It really is up to us as individuals to take the initiative to do it. There's very little we can do about corporations and media and those things. What our responsibility as women is to our daughters and to the girls that we come in contact with is to give them a truthful reality. And that is that we are diverse, that we won't ever all look the same. We're beautiful in our own right. We're very talented. We come from, don't get me started on our history. Don't get me started on talking about where we come from, right?
Were you here when Sharon was on earlier?
I didn't hear Sharon
Parker.
Okay.
I'm going to connect the two of you.
Okay, got
because she would be a powerhouse to come in just because she is all about rich history, our history and our culture. And
I had one little girl in our program, and she said, it's kind of, just trying to find herself. So I said, listen, who do you have in your family that you really think is interesting? So she had a conversation with her aunt, our great aunt, and she found out that her great aunt was one of the few African Americans in Baltimore City to integrate Northern High School. And she's like, oh, my aunt is bad. She said, and so when you realize what you're connected to, it just changes everything. And so again, the history, telling our girls how valuable they are, how people overcame barriers that they couldn't even imagine and managed to become successful. All of these things kind of counter it and push it down, and the best that we can do is make that our mission individually.
Yes, I love that. Taking ownership of how you're representing the diversity of African American women and being a role model. And that is a choice. It really is a choice. It's a decision that you make to live your life in such a way that you become a model for someone else. I could sit and talk to you all day. You know, I would love to get you scheduled to come back on so we can expand and extend the conversation. I love what you're doing.
Thank you, Cheryl.
I
love
truly,
you too.
I'm so touched. Again, I love when people are walking in their lane of brilliance and their lane of greatness. Without apologies and making the impact that they know that they're meant to make in the world. And you are definitely making impact.
Thank you.
I can't wait to connect with you and
Yes,
your group
I'd
in
love to.
person. I would
Yes,
love to,
let's
for
make
my
sure.
daughter and I, to come to some of your
Yes,
sessions
yes.
and be a
Yes,
part
yes,
of the
yes.
conversation and the dialogue as
I'd
well,
welcome
because she just turned 14 last month.
Oh.
And thank God she's a good girl.
Yep.
And I've always been a big communicator with her.
Okay,
So
that's
we
important.
talk about everything just as it is. I don't hide things from her. I talk to her exactly. And that seems to be really good in terms of our relationship. And but I tell her, it's absolutely.
trust,
But I share with her, you know, as you get older, your hormones are going to shift and change, and you may think different than I think or feel about something. I said, but what I don't want to change is that you will always, you know, you come and talk to me about things. And then of course I have a twin sister, and so I encourage, you know, their relationship.
Aunties
are
critical.
So that if she doesn't feel comfortable coming to me and talking about something, she, as you mentioned earlier, she has someone that she loves and trusts and respects, who's going to give her great advice for her own good.
Add that,
yes,
right.
who's going to give her good, because everybody shouldn't be speaking into your life or your child's life. But
That's
make
very
sure
true.
that they're trusted individuals. So keep up the great work. Again,
Thank you.
you guys, if you are interested in being a part of the conversation with the Young Girls events, the BGU listening session, you are going to send an email to info@blackgirlsunscripted.org with the subject BGU listening session. If you would like to partner with the organization Black Girls Unscripted, if you would like to sponsor it, if you would like to host a session of Cupcakes and Conversation, or any other way that you want to come into a collaborative environment, then you want to send an email to partnership@blackgirlsunscripted.org. And you can just put in the subject line BGU partner or partnership or collaboration. All right. So thank you for being here. We are out of time. I cannot believe it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for spending your time with us. And thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you.
Guys, we will see you back here next Wednesday, same time, same place, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m., where we'll have some other phenomenal women who are in the world, out in the world, impacting the world with their unique gift. We will see you next Wednesday.
We have powerful words, we have powerful minds. We use our voices and freedom takes flight. And we're ready to work, we're ready to win. We have a strategy and now we can begin. We are standing bolder, shoulder to shoulder. Playtime is over. Playtime is over. Now you are a champion. God is my witness. Imperfect perfection. Living my